because everybody's looking for presence. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for that presence, and they're looking it for in all the holy scriptures, all the ancient writings, and it's here. It's right here with you, you know, and you could be with that presence at any moment that you choose.
When we arrived to that point of feeling the presence and the blissfulness, what do we do from there? That's where we get lost. Most of
Please
the time.
tell me. show me the blueprint. Give me the outline.
I think it's the Holy One that speaks through us.
Absolutely. Yes.
What is the purpose of being here and now with all this chaos? Making what is needed on each time. Nothing else, nothing more, nothing less. That phrase, we are the chimney, we are burning something. The world is burning in the flames of passion and anger and hatred, but we have to burn in another way. But that point was very interesting. No, the third eye is really the first. It seems we are conditioned to see things in conflict or in duality, in black and white, yes and no. But before that, there is a state in which there is no rejection, even of pain or conflict. When we wake up or start waking up, one of the first conflicts is, I don't want the world to be like that, I want to change it. But this inertia moves us out of the awakening and set us in conflict again. Especially when you want to change things. I think the point of presence is more to be in conscious contact with something. Now, what is that something? Thinking about it makes us enter another rabbit hole, but I think there is something many teachings are missing, which is the conscious or personal connection with the intelligence of the universe. Because there is a tendency in the East to just look for presence as the I amness, no? But what is that I amness? It's just a state of blissfulness, to be in a satsang, in a conscious sitting and be like that, like a saint, like Ramana Maharshi, no? And Nisargadatta. You know the Nisargadatta? Have you heard of him?
No.
He is one of the non-dualists, as it's called, that tradition of Advaita, Vedanta. Because Vedanta is one of the darshanas or viewpoints in India. It's like the philosophy, mystic philosophy. One is dual, Vaita, and one is adual. People call it non-dual, but it's more exact to say they are adual because they include everything. And in adual approaches, they just look for self-knowledge, Jnana Yoga, the yoga of self-inquiry. Every time you feel a desire or you have a problem, you have to inquire, no? Who is troubled? Who am I? Is it the true self? The one who is really suffering or in trouble? Or I am identified with that personality full of mechanical habits? That's the path. It's a simple path, which is well, I think the basics of knowledge, of true inner knowledge. But I see a tendency to just get stuck there. Because they say, no, don't look for answers. There is no meaning beyond that. Really? Look at the world. All this chaos and mysteries. I think there is a point there which we should not miss. It depends on your background. Most of us in the West have had experience maybe in religion, in Christianity. Then we explored the Oriental teachings, believing they were the panacea, the supreme truth of Buddhism and Advaita. But then you come back to something else. Maybe not Christianity in a religious form, but you see presence or divine presence in a different way. I don't know your experience in that sense. Did you study the Eastern teachings?
Very little. Just on the surface, mostly just in passing, just like quotes, and never really dived into it deeply at all. Just the I guess you would say the common aspects that are known of it.
Yes.
Yeah, just
like phrases, no sentences from
exactly.
Buddha, Taoism. Yeah.
Yes, Confucius,
Mhm.
and all that. Yes.
That's the starting point. I started with that around 1997.
Right.
I started to have a crisis, and I realized there was something else.
Yeah, I was apologies.
No,
Actually, I was out. It was wild how it happened. I was interested in studying the excuse my pronunciation. I think it's all the Hindu teachings, the Indian teachings.
the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, see, I can't. But anyway, I was always wanted to get a copy of the book and read it, because I read the Bible through a couple of times, just as a book, not really just taking it literally, And then I was trying to get the other scriptures, and so I never went out and bought them. So I was at a concert one time, and in the parking lot there was all these vendors there. And the guy was actually selling copies of the book at the concert. So I was like, oh, that's like, okay, that's a sign, to me a little bit. Like something's telling me, hey, get this. And so I go over and I start talking to him, and he says, yeah, I went to study this. I studied this book for 7 years, and I lived in a Zen temple in California, and I'm letting you know now that the answers aren't in there. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, so I was looking for the answer, and I thought getting the book was going to be the answer, but he kind of already told me the answers are not in there. He felt like doing all that, and I guess it was in a religious text that he was speaking, that he said he felt like he wasted his time. And I think that brings us back to our subject, is where you're not wasting your time, and where you're in timelessness is when you're in presence. And that's so important, and that's such a large key because everybody's looking for presence. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for that presence, and they're looking for in all the holy scriptures, all the ancient writings, and it's here. It's right here with you, and you could be with that presence at any moment that you choose, and we're looking for it in here, there, up in the clouds, and under a rock, and in a clay jar, in a cave somewhere. But really, presence is available here and now, and not like in this room where I'm at, or in the room where you're at. It's available here inside, you. It's with you at all times.
Mhm. I see, even in addictions or in daily life, no, when people watch TV or go to the cinema, they just want to disconnect from all the troubles, all the pain, and in the background of the mind and the heart, there's always this longing for
Yeah.
blissfulness, the presence of something divine.
Yeah. Or even if they're watching TV and in the movies and the cinema, they want to know that somebody relates to them. They want to know that
Mm-hmm.
somebody relates to their pain, and that's why I think that's why people get into groups, because they want to feel like somebody can relate to what they're feeling or what they're not feeling, maybe even, and it's
Mm-hmm.
more than a feeling. Presence is way more than a feeling, but they could be looking for an escape, or they could be looking for confirmation,
Mm-hmm.
like a confirmation almost.
Yes. Even when you experience something real, maybe in a group of self inquiry or inner work, I have been with different groups, you try to feel the same. If you have an experience, a deep experience, you look for it. And once you look for it, you don't get it again because again you get in the trap of I want this, and this wanting or this idea that you make up about that experience is not the timeless experience.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
As you say, we need to get into timelessness, and the thought process is not helping in that regard. It's more a quality of attention and vision.
A willingness, and taking
Mm-hmm.
the opportunity that's given.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful willingness.
Yes.
The will is a very important element or activity which is missing in the Eastern teachings, at least in most of them, because we can find a little bit of that in the Middle East with the teaching of Yeshua, no issue to follow the will of the Father. I and the Father are one, but I don't do my own will, but the will of the Father.
Yes.
Or even the Sufis, no, when they will to follow the mercy of God, no, aligning themselves with their
Yeah.
behavior.
Even the dance is,
Exactly,
you know. Yeah.
the dervish dance.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because like when you're dancing, what's the point of dancing? Ain't to get somewhere. It's to be in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
You're not dancing to get somewhere or to find something. You're dancing to be present in that moment. Just like writing music, the a composition. The idea ain't to get to the end of the composition. The idea is to be present and be in that the flow of that music.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it was the point to get to the end of the composition, I heard one. I forget who said it. If it was the point of one to get a musician to get to the a composer to get to the end of the composition, then the fastest musician would be the best.
Yes.
So that ain't the point. The point is to be in the music, be in the presence of the music, which is basically what we're speaking about too, as being in that openness.
Mm-hmm.
Here we're all funneled in, and we're
Mm-hmm.
all in this corner, and we're all bundled up, and we're all searching and looking. But when you when you sit in that presence and that openness, and it's everything, such a wide, it's a limitless, it's the limitless, and it's
I think that's exactly where many get lost, including myself in the past,
right.
because I used to long for that, and I believe it was a dissolution, like nirvana, or fusing oneself with God and disappearing forever and leaving this world because this world is shit. So all that is in the background.
Right.
But I think the real presence is when you not only feel that, but also have a connection or even conversation with the Holy One. Because it's not an emptiness as some believe.
Right.
There are atheist views that take into consideration the presence of blissfulness and something, but they give different interpretations, no?
Yes. And it's not about getting rid of something and attaining something else. It's about including everything. It's not about leaving this human form here because it's tough and painful. It's about and then being here with the Father or the Source or the Absolute and being in Nirvana. It's about connecting those two.
Exactly.
And yes,
Yes.
not it's all inclusive. It's no thing, and it's limitless, and it's everything, and nothing's left out.
Yes. And when it's felt, it seems the most real and obvious. But you feel this is it. This is what I'm looking for. But many don't have the understanding or the background, background for the flowers to flourish. It's not ideas or concepts or beliefs. It's more a seed of understanding, what in Hebrew wisdom they call Binah. No? Binah is binary, or combine, no? Combine. It's a mode in which you don't exclude the world, you embrace the world, because that's love. If there was just nothingness, a pure emptiness of light or vastness of no form, that would be boring, no?
Yeah. I think it's a knowing. It's knowing, because like I think when Ishu would say, "I know the Father, and the Father knows me." You don't know my Father. You don't if you don't know me, you don't know my Father. So it's like he came with the knowingness, knowing all, and brought it here without losing any of the knowing. He never lost that connection. We come here, our connection gets scrambled a little bit, and we lose a little bit of that knowing, and then we're trying to understand something that we already know. But so it's like a remembering, it's like it's the remembering, the recalling, and then once you can understand something, that's great. But once you know something, nobody could really take that from you. That's that assuredness that we get, when you just know, your Father's good, everything's going to be okay, we're all on a journey, and we're gonna make it home. But some take the high road, some take the low road, and some get tossed over to the side of the hill, and some slip back and fall and bang their head, and and it's just.
But true reality is always here.
Yes.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
That's when we feel accompanied, when we don't feel lonely or alone. This is one of the big problems.
Yeah. And oh, know what? Why this thoughts in my head? The word alone, right? If you add another I in there, right? Add another I, it's all one. Alone
Uh-huh.
is all one. So if you add that other one that you feel that you're alone and you're missing, but the one is there,
Hmm.
you bring that one in there, and it's you're all one. So you're never alone,
Hmm.
because we're all one.
Hmm. Yes, and if you take the L is A1.
Yeah, you can't go wrong, right?
Yes,
Can't go wrong. Yep.
all paths lead to the one, not to Rome.
Ab- Absolutely. Yeah.
To Rome, Achtung, Achtung, danger. Rome is the opposite of amor, no? Love. The
Yeah.
culture represented by Rome, which is the extension of Babylon, no? Duality, conflict, rigid structures.
Yeah.
It's, it's in our mind, Rome, because we are very rigid
Right.
in the way we think, the way we want to feel. No?
Yeah. I mean, in a word, not as the historical place or the region, but we're all roaming in a
Mm-hmm.
sort of way in search of the one.
Mm-hmm.
So we're roaming to find that one. We're roaming around. It's the I think another way to you could look at it is that's how they say that God is omnipresent because he's looking through your eyes at me and he's
Mm-hmm.
looking at my eyes through you. And no matter how close we are and we understand certain things together, we each have that own experience, as a one,
Mm-hmm.
as a whole on, the whole on, as that one,
Yes,
a
exactly.
whole, a whole part of a whole, lacking nothing,
Mm-hmm.
lacking absolutely nothing.
That's very well said. Mm. Actually, that's exactly the same secret that a character in this TV series, Turkish TV series, Yunus Emre, the famous Sufi poet.
Yeah,
Well, in that movie, the master of the Dervish Brotherhood gets him to be the successor. And actually, I have it here, jotted down. He says, the coat you are wearing with the hat is not for praise, is of blame. I guess this is like, well, we have to accept there is something that comes from the devil in ourselves, even our selfishness or carnality. But he says, don't fight against the fighters. Do not get offended by people's words. Your words are my words. The smoke that comes from you belongs to the fire of our chimney. Bear this in mind. God gives and takes. God sees with your eyes. God hears with your ears. God walks with your feet. Is anything left from you? Nothing, because you never existed. God is here. You are not. Almighty God informed us of that. It's brutal.
uh, yeah, it's wonderful though. It's.
I found that in many traditions. Even there is a Zen teaching which tells about a disciple of a master who asked how to get rid of the problems. No? And the master told, bring your mind with your problems And the disciple remained quiet. He said, I cannot find them. I cannot find the mine. Well, there you have the solution. No? Or in another story, a disciple sees the master jumping because he sat on a needle, and well, the disciple left all in grief, thinking that master was not appropriate. No? He just jumped after sitting on a needle with pain in the ass. And then the teacher commented, I wish he knew neither him nor myself really exist. No? It's a point of realizing that what makes experience possible, what makes love possible, is not our carnality or our psyche, the brain or our personality. There is a source or a divine light, and that is what really is, and that is what we are really.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
there is a middle point. Yes, we exist in a certain sense, but in an absolute sense we don't exist as such, because the light or the divine doesn't exist. It is. It's an essence. Existence is contingent. You can exist or not exist, because that's in time.
Yeah.
Time and existence go hand in hand. It's impossible to bring an existence in which there is no forms and movement and sense of ignorance and forgetfulness, then the coming of the universe. That's a consequence of coming into existence. But the timeless essence is always, it never ceases to be. It doesn't exist in a sense, but it's the essence of existence as well.
No beginning and no end.
Mm-hmm.
Just is.
I think that's what many traditions are looking for. Then they get into trouble with interpretations. It's as confusing to say, well, I'm looking for God and I'm the Son of God and I want to be forgiven for all I've done. That is as confusing as saying nothing has meaning because all is empty and we have to dissolve ourselves in the void. There is no middle point.
Yeah.
What is the purpose of being here and now with all this chaos?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question.
Mm-hmm. That phrase, we are the chimney, we are burning something. The world is burning in the flames of passion and anger and hatred, but we have to burn in another way.
Yeah, that's crazy you just said that, because I read this article yesterday. I believe it was yesterday. I just skimmed over it real quick. They said that, if I'm saying this correctly, the molecules maybe in that make up our universe are the temperature 1 million degrees temperature. Mm-hmm. But they're so sparse and so far apart that we don't feel the heat of it. But it's really it's a million degree fire that we're in. Like, scientifically speaking, that's what they said. I'm not quoting. I'm not saying that as fact, but it was just an interesting little take. Like I came across this. I was like, that's like so crazy. We're in a million degree bubble, so to say, of a million degrees in the fireplace or the chimney or however you want to call it. And here we're, it's burning something up, like you said. Here we're burning. it's a refiner's fire. It's the refiner's fire, that's just burning all that dross, and they burn it and they cleanse it up to 7 times, they say, to get the purest silver, or
Hmm.
as you could, and the purest material that you could have,
Hmm.
and it consumes all the dross. And I think that's what the hellfires are. People speak of hellfire. I don't think it's a all-consuming fire. I think it's a refiner's fire that, yeah, it's painful and you're in there, and it's kind of your own, it's kind of your own making and for your own good. But yeah, at the time that you're feeling that you're experiencing that it's really, it's cleansing you. It's a cleansing, it's a cleansing fire, a
Hmm.
purifying fire.
Yeah, that's really, really enlightening because it's a different way of looking at suffering, no, or pain.
Yeah.
We want to get rid of suffering and pain. We don't even distinguish between pain and suffering. We don't realize that we are suffering to our pain when we resist.
Yes. Yeah. Just like being in the potter's hand, and even if you're a broken pot, I mean, you can make a beautiful mosaic, you know.
Hmm.
I mean, you can
Or
always put the,
kitsugi, kitsugi is a tradition in Japan where they get a mug that has broken into pieces and they make a substance with powder, golden powder, golden powder, which is power as well,
yeah.
to stick, no, the power of sticking, and they stick the pieces together, and then you can see the cracks, golden cracks. So we are
Beautiful.
like kitsugi because we are broken, but we are
Absolutely.
coming again into a whole.
Yep. Yeah, there's nothing that can't be mended. There's nothing that can't be fixed. That's why they speak even of the vessels in the creation story. The vessels couldn't hold the energy and
Yes.
just burst it, but that also could be put back together, and then maybe that's some of what we're feeling. That coming back together again.
Hmm.
Where and it's a process. But
Yeah, the ark. We are the ark of salvation.
absolutely.
Actually, the whole cosmos can be considered as an ark, an alchemical furnace to burn the residual dross of Satan, which is an energy, it's not a person,
Right.
even though it can be manifested as entities or beings, obviously. But I think this universe is an enclosure where that darkness is being burnt, and we are the agents of that burning when we are working, obviously.
Right.
Otherwise, we are the flames of pain and salvation, the flames of hell.
Yeah.
That there is a connection with the Shekinah, this Hebrew idea about the dwelling of the divine, that the divine needs a dwelling, and well, in ourselves, we have the Shekinah inside the physical body. But that Shekinah can be exiled when we don't pay attention to it. I think that's where
Yes.
we miss the point many times.
Absolutely. And your body is the temple of God, and so that tells you right there that 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 Shekinah, that presence is there. You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
where the temple is, God is. So to say, and so just, yeah, it's just going within and just seeing that presence there, and that it's always available, and that's a really hope and our faith and our that's even more than that.
The purpose, the meaning.
Yeah, it's the foundation. That's the foundation.
Mm-hmm. There are different ways of understanding hope. Some people might understand hope as desiring or wishing for something to come.
Right.
Yet there is another vision of hope, which is I hope to flourish fully. Something which I already have in potential must come into fruition. That is the true hope, because it's not something fully missing or something you don't have. You have it, but it's pushing to come out, that energy of life or consciousness, and also conscience, which is the personal relation, which is absent in Buddhism, for instance, or maybe in yoga or in Vedanta, not fully, because they have personalizations of the divine, no? Ishvara.
Right.
Ishvara, the Father Ishvara, which is one of the personalities of Brahman, the absolute infinite, which is impersonal. That could be compared to the Ein Sof, the limitless in Hebrew teachings. But of course, it has a personal essence because it must relate to beings. Beings are personal. They are not just impersonal, senseless, or feelingless. So I think from the moment in which a being has a feeling or an intimacy, in a sense has a personality. Even dogs have personalities, not single dogs is the same.
For sure.
We have guinea pigs. It's amazing. They have personality.
Absolutely.
They are rats. Maybe they are not like Master Splinter of the Ninja Turtles.
Sure. Yeah.
One is called Alien. My sister called Alien because he looks like an alien, and he's the most rebellious of the two. The other is bigger, is more self-assured. No? I am the boss and I don't have to do anything. But the other one is always scared. No? You approach the hand and he does like that. But it's amazing. You can sense a certain character. If all animals were the same, they wouldn't have that idiosyncratic behavior.
Yeah, and to be in a relationship, you got to be present. You got to be present in any relationship. To have a true relationship, you have to be present. You could be in a relationship and, so to say, and not be present. You could be having a conversation with somebody and not be present in that conversation, because the conversation, the talk kind of takes over. So it is kind of having your mind or your presence on two things at once, of bringing those two together, because a true relationship requires presence, to be there in that relationship, not only physically or mentally or spiritually, but fully all that.
Yes, you can see that, or the absence of that, in interviews when the interviewer starts asking questions, and even before the person finishes the answer, he's sending the next question. Younger generations, I think, look for the immediate more than the previous one. The generation Z.